Hi. It's Tina from CNC Designs. Happy Friday. I'm going to see if I can pull us up on the page. I hope everybody's doing well today. Hope you guys had a great day. If you come in and you see the live button above my head, that means you have caught me live. Please be sure to stop and say hello in the comments so that I can say hello back. If you come in and you do not see the red live button, that means you're watching me on replay. In either case, please say hello so that I can be sure to speak back to you. I'm trying to see if I can pull us up on the page and then we can get started. Hopefully yes, okay. I had to make sure I was on the right page. Let's see if I can pull us up. You might hear some noises. It's very, very windy here in New York tonight. So if you hear that wind, that's what that is. Give me a sec while I try to find us. We are broadcasting live tonight from here at CNC Designs, as well as in the Crafting Network, of which I am one of the presenters. So we are broadcasting in both places. Hello, Donna. How are you? Thank you for joining. I'm just trying to find us so I can pull this up on my computer and be able to see comments better. So give me a sec while I locate us. And I think I found us. Here we go. Make sure my volume's down so we don't get echoes. Okay, so we're good. Again, hello, and thank you for joining me tonight. Tonight, we're going to be continuing in our Christmas series. I am in full swing with Christmas here over at CNC Designs, and tonight we're going to be making some more. This is going to be a garland. It's going to be an ornament garland actually that I'm going to put into my tree, but you can take the same premise and use it as a regular garland that goes across your fireplace mantle or wherever you tend to hang garlands. It can also be used as a mini garland. You can cut it and have it in a wreath. You can put it on the fireplace mantle. It can go across a wall if you want. I'm going to be using mine embedded in my Christmas tree this year. And we're going to be working with some printables that I made, as well as some napkins. And in order to use our napkins, we are going to need to paint a couple of these. So we're going to go ahead and put a couple of coats of paint on these. And while they dry, we're going to flip over and deal with the ones that our printables are going to be applied to, because we don't need to add paint for that. So I have these little plaques that you can use individually and make individual ornaments, or you can use, as you can see, and put them together and make a garland. So I got these from Amazon. I think there were, I don't know, probably about 50 or so in the package. I've had them for a couple of years, and I'm just continuing to use them until we've used them up. So I hope you enjoy what we're about to do with these tonight. I hope I can give you some ideas, and hopefully it'll be something that you like and you'll want to try as well. So I'm gonna take our Waverly. This is my go-to white. It's not really white, it's plaster. I love this color because it's not the bright white, but it definitely is my go-to paint when I need a white color or a white base. I have put some water in mine because it had gotten so thick. Waverly, I love Waverly chalk paints, but sometimes it does get thick and you need to thin it out a little bit. And I kind of use water to thin mine out, just so that I don't have to be dealing with the thickness of it. Because when it gets thick, it is a little bit more of a challenge to maneuver. But I'm just going to put down one coat. I'm not going to be too careful about how I'm applying it, because this is our napkin is going to go over this, but I do want to put down that white base, because when you use a white base and you're decoupaging napkins or anything over top of it, really it helps the colors to pop even more. I'm not gonna paint the ones where our printables are gonna go on, because our printables are printed on computer paper. Had I printed my printables on rice paper or tissue paper, I would be base coating those as well. So those just a few little tips. So here's our first one. Like I said, we're gonna do 4 of these because I am going to be using the napkins on 4 of them, and I'm going to be using the fronts and the back because, like I said, I'm using mine as a tree garland kind of thing. At least that's what I think I'm gonna do. But if I don't like it and I decide to take them apart and use them as individual ornaments, because I will have both sides already done, it won't matter. I can flip them around. You can be able to see the design from the front and the back. So that's the reason why we're doing the fronts and the backs of this. And even if you use it as a garland, the benefit of doing fronts and back is that you can switch it around. You can have it facing, you know, one set of printables one year and then just flip it around the next year. It'll look like a brand new garland, but it'll just be the opposite side. I hope that makes sense. Hi Cheryl, how are you? Thank you for joining. I hope everybody is having a good Friday or has had a good Friday. I hope the weather and the day went well for you. The weather here was really nice today. It wasn't too hot, wasn't too cold. We've had some hot days this week, but we have rapidly dropped in temperature, and the wind is blowing a lot here in New York. So if you hear some howling, that is the wind blowing. I live on the 26th floor, so you might hear the wind moving around outside. And I am crafting in my living room, and I have a terrace, so we're pretty close to the terrace door, so you might hear the wind blowing. Hello, Rhonda. How are you? Thank you for watching. And like I said when we started, for those of you who just popped in, this Christmas ornament style garland can be used in many ways. It can be used as your typical garland that you put over your fireplace mantle. You can use it in a wreath, parts of it. You can put it on a wall. You can use it as a table garland if you're having a buffet style dinner in your home for Christmas, or you can use it like we're doing. I am putting this together, and I am actually going to use this as a garland in my tree. I have a pretty big tree, and I like to put all different types and styles of ornaments on my tree just because I like trees that look unique and different. So I'm trying something different with this. Hello, Michelle. How are you? So I'm just going to put a little bit of heat on here so that we can flip these over, and I can at least get that coat of paint down on the other sides as well. Because I do, as I said before, I do want to do both sides of this with the napkin. So I want to try and get some dry. And also with these little plaques, if you do both sides, it can help with some of the buckling. As you can see, this one has paint on it, and it's already starting to get a little bit of a bow in it. So when we do the same thing on both sides, it kind of helps it to level out. At least that's what I found. So that's another reason why I like to do both sides. And like I said, I'm not, worried about too many coats. I just want to get this basic white down because it helps my napkin to pop more. And my napkin does have a lot of white in it. We are going to be using this napkin. So this one coat I think might work for us. So I'm just going to put this down on the backs now, and then we'll move on to our other pieces that we're going to be using a printable on. I purchased a printable, the background paper in a printable set from Etsy, and I have done some embellishments on it, and I have created what I am going to be calling my Names of Christ banner. So that's what this is going to be. when we're all said and done. Hi, Stephanie. How are you? Thank you for popping in and joining us. I hope you've had a good day so far. So we're just getting this coat down, giving it a good coat. I think, like I said, that one good coat is probably enough. I don't think we need more than one coat. And then I will show you the printable that we'll be working with for the printables. I really, really like the way they came out. I'm excited about trying this. I hope that what I have pictured in my mind will translate onto the piece, and we'll have another unique and awesome piece to put into our tree. So I'm gonna set these aside while we work on the others, and hopefully those can start drying. I'm already getting some paint onto my hands. Where's my paper towel? I don't see my paper towel. That's not good. Let me just get a wipe then. In the meantime, okay. So let me make sure that we don't have any white paint down here that's gonna get on our printable. Just give me 1 sec. Let me just get some paper towel because I don't want to mess up my printable. Okay, thank you. I'm right back. So I'm just going to put this down just in case we have some wet paint here, and we don't have to worry about that coming onto our printable set. So we're going to be working with these printables. Like I said, I purchased this background paper set from Etsy, and then what I've done is I've gone in and created my own kind of printables with it, and I included the names of Christ, the different names that you'll find referencing Christ in the Bible. Put some different elements in it, like this one. I hope you can see that. I have Jehovah Rapha, the Lord who heals. And I've added that little gold star up in the top and some other elements on top, or superimposed on top of the paper. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be using these to create our remaining 5 plaques. And we're gonna be doing these front and back as well. Hello, Carol Jean, how are you? Thank you for joining. Rhonda, did I say hello to you? If I didn't, please accept my apologies. Hello and thank you for joining us tonight. So I'm just cutting these out. I printed these just on regular printer paper that comes in your regular, that you use in your regular printer. These are not rice paper, they're not tissue paper, just regular old printer paper. I tend to use printer paper, honestly, with my printables more than any other thing. They work for me. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna apply them to our plaques. We're gonna make sure we punch our holes out, and we're gonna go in and fussy cut on our ridges. That probably is the most challenging part with this whole creation. Hello, Miss Fanning, how are you? Hello, Mimi's Creations. Chris, how are you? I'm going to be applying these because I'm using paper. I'm going to be applying these tonight with glue. If you guys have ever watched me, you know I love my glue sticks. I try to use them anytime that I can get away from using Mod Podge. I do it. I just think I love Mod Podge. I think there's a place for Mod Podge, but if I can apply things like this without having to deal with all of that stickiness and the brushing and all of that stuff, this is just a better way to go for me. So I'm going to we put our glue on. Now I'm just gonna put this down. I have my little rubbing tool that I use when I'm stamping. It's also great to help me apply my printables. So that's our first one. And we're gonna just take our finger sander and we're going to go around and remove the edges. I'm just trying to find my other one. Here we go. And take that excess paper off. And then we'll be able to go into those little intricate crooks and crannies. Now you could get these wood slice, these wood pieces from Amazon. They do have them in the traditional banner style that has the V in the middle. I chose not to do that because it would have taken too much away from my printable, and I really, really like the fact that this has this layered look, that has this mixed media look, which I love. So I wanted to use as much of the paper as I could. Plus, I already had these in my house. I do have some of the others, but not as many as I have in this style. So I elected to use these as opposed to trying to use that version with the V in the middle. This gives it a nice, good, smooth edge all the way around. I love, love, love the way this comes out. Hello, Victoria. How are you? Guys, if you don't know who Victoria is at Ode to Ooh La La Art, you need to go and check her out. In fact, I don't wait. Leave the page right now. Come back, of course. Join, like, follow Victoria, and come back. You can thank me later. Victoria is amazing. I love, love, love everything she does. So I'm just gonna go in and create some little snips here and hope that that will help me to accomplish exposing these ridges without having to do too much work, because I don't have thin, what do you call it, emery boards in my stash. And we might get away with being able to do this way. So let's see how time consuming this is. You guys know I'm an impatient crafter. I do not like to do things that take a long amount of time. So let's see how much time this is gonna steal from us. No, Victoria, I mean every single word. I mean, it really, you just do some really amazing things, especially with IOD products. Victoria is an IOD stockist. So if you guys are looking for any of the IOD products that you've been seeing me use, the stamps, the molds, Victoria is your lady. You want to go to Victoria and get them, especially the ones that have just come out for Christmas. You know IOD releases a lot of them on limited basis, so you want to get yours before they're completely sold out. Thank you for sprinkling. So we're going to see how this works. Hopefully this will allow us to just get these little ends off without too much fuss. I'm sorry about the noise, but I don't know of another way to do this without these little sanding blocks. So, but I think it's going to be worth it having to listen to the sanding and going into these little individual crooks and crannies, because like I said, this allows me to get the most out of my printable. I don't have to, you know, cut so deep into it where I would be ruining my design. I love these papers because I love the whole mixed media look. It looks like we've, you know, taken a lot of time to layer a lot of different elements when the majority of them are really all in the paper. So that's our first one. And as you can see, like I said, this is going to be a Names of Christ garland that I'm going to be putting into my Christmas tree. So now I'm just going to take my little X-Acto knife, and I'm just going to go back in and just pop out those holes that are already there. And that will give me a place to be able to run our ribbon through when we're ready and string our garland. Now you can see we got a little lift there. Not to worry. Just go back in with your glue put a little bit on that edge and it will lay down. I use glue all the time and I have not had a problem with it. So trust me, if you're working on a flat wood surface and you need to lay something down like paper, you don't have to do the Mod Podge thing. You don't have to do that whole, you know, how do they call it? Sealing and all of that. I've never done that, and I've never ruined my projects that way. So they work and they last. Hello, Susan. So there we have our first one. And now we're just gonna move to the back because I want these to be both ways. Because like I said, I'm thinking that this is gonna be a tree garland, but should this become something that if I decide it doesn't really look right as a garland all, you know, together on a tree, I can separate them and use it as individual ornaments, and I will be able to see the fronts and the back of the ornaments. Both of them will be finished, and you know, it's not a lot of work. And we have the back of the surface already, so why not finish it? So this is our second one, and this is Jehovah Shalom, the Lord is peace. And you see each one, they all have the same patterns, but they do look different with the different layers that I have superimposed over top of them. And the reason why I lay them separately down is just because I get a better lay that way. And we want to make sure that we take our edges off, because when we go back in, when we have to do the reverse, we want to make sure that we're not worrying about too many layers of paper that we have to remove. Hi, Susan. Now, what you can do to get really, really different looks, I'm looking at these and I see that up in those corners, I do have a little bit of blue in both corners. So, you know, you can play around with your printables. I'm looking at what I have here, and this pattern actually gives it a entirely different look. Same colors, same printable pack. Like I said, I just superimposed the names and I dropped in a couple of other Christmas elements on top of this printable paper in Canva. You can definitely do the same. I am a big proponent of printables. I love them because it's something that once you buy, you can use year after year. So definitely, if you haven't tried printables, you might want to invest in them. This one is Emmanuel, and you can see this compared to that is definitely two different looks, same color wave. So that's what we're going for. So, typically, I tell you don't throw away your extra paper, but these papers, I printed these out actually in 4x6 size, so there's nothing extra around the pattern, so you can throw away those little extra pieces. But if this was a full page, I would definitely be telling you not to throw that paper away until you're done, because sometimes if you have a mishap, something rips, you can just always go in and take those extra pieces and correct those little challenges that you may run across. Hi, Susan, how are you? Thank you for joining. So we're just gonna pop that one down. And the other reason why we did the bottom is because it makes it easier to see where we need to cut here on the back side. So we've got, I put this one down where I got a pretty good significant piece on the top. I'm gonna just use my tool again just to make sure I got a good seal between that glue and my printable. And I'm gonna take a little bit off with my scissor so that we don't have to sand as much. And we're just gonna go right across really quick and take that off. We're gonna do the same thing on our sides. We are going to do some edging. I don't know if I'm going to use some Tim Holtz Distress ink or if I'm going to use some edging maybe with some paint. I have some golds and some blues, which is what we've been using to create our whole ornament series. So most likely we'll probably stick with the golds and the blues, even though I would love to use my dark wax and my, you know, Tim Holtz Ground Espresso. I promised my son we were going to have a blue and white tree this year, so I'm trying to stick true to my word. Hello, Denise. How are you? Hello, Tracy. How are you? Hi, Debbie. How are you? Thank you all for joining. We are making an ornament garland that I am going to put in my tree this year. And the title of my ornament garland is The Names of Christ. I'm working with a printable that I have taken and superimposed the names of Christ onto it, and I think we're coming out fabulous. Just really quickly, while we're working on this, I'm going to show you something else. The same printable paper pack, I casted this from my bibelot mold that I purchased from Victoria at IOD. Victoria is an IOD stockist, and I use the same paper on this ornament. This ornament, I did put a sealer on top. You can see it is shining. It is looking almost like glass. And you know, when you have these types of things on your tree, just imagine how beautiful this tree is going to look this year with all these different ornaments, with these different types of, with the same patterns. It's going to make for a wonderful, wonderful tree. Thank you so much, Miss Fanny. And this one I did is the same paper, but I've got some diamond dust on top of it. So that gives it another look. So just all these things with the same printable pack. So I really just want to express to you how versatile printable packs are and how much you can actually do with them. Hello, Terry. How are you? Thank you for joining us. Kay, did I speak to you? Hello. Thank you for joining. Again, I'm going to just clip these in the middle. I'm going to try and take out as much as I can with my scissor. And then we'll go in with our sanding tool and remove any excess. Kind of clean up those edges and make it look as sharp as we can. I did not think to get some smaller emery boards. I have the thick emery boards. I'm gonna try and see if I can go in with that, if that works as good or better than our little finger sander. The other option could be to just take the sanding pad off of the tool, period, and use that to go in and kind of clean up these edges. But this seems to be helping, so we'll work with that and we'll see what happens. The only thing is you just want to you know, keep checking your front and your back and make sure that when you're sanding on one side, you're not lifting on the other. If you, like, again, if you get a little lift, you just go back in with your glue stick and lay it down. It's not a big deal. Just, you know, be sure to watch and be careful. So here I do see that I have a bit of a lift on some of these here, on these last two. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue down and lay them back down. And here we have our first piece, the fronts and the back. The only thing left to do with this one is to go in again and make sure that we clear that threading hole here to make sure it's clear on both sides. I'm just going to use my scissor just because I feel like that kind of helps me to round out the hole better. And again, if you get a lift, just go back in with your glue stick and lay it down. Trust me, it is, to me, is so much easier than using that Mod Podge. I use the DOS clay. Only because, like I said, that's what I have in my house. I have not tried the IOD clay yet because I've had DOS, so I'm trying to use up and craft my stash. But my plan next is to use the IOD clay to see if I see a difference in the two. I really can't offer an opinion on another one because that's all I've used so far. Okay. So here we have that. And I'm really liking that. Hi, Terry. How are you? Thank you for joining. So let's go back to our ones that we did base coat with our Waverly plaster. And let's apply our first napkin just so that you guys can get a sense of what this is going to look like next to each other, just in case we run past the hour, because this live is broadcasting in 2 different places and I do want to be respectful of the time. I did book an hour, although there is no one behind me. I don't want to take advantage. So this is the napkin that we're going to use. I don't know where I got these napkins from. I think I had a pack of them at one point in time. And when I buy a pack of fancy napkins like that, I usually take 3 or 4 out just to use for crafting purposes. And that's what I've done with those. Now, normally I have to tell you, with something like this, because I really try to stay away from that whole, you know, dealing with Mod Podge and laying things down, I typically will use my iron, but I did not bring my little heat iron to the table. So we're gonna do this one with the Mod Podge and the whole kind of tapping and laying and, you know, hopefully using a plastic bag to try to get my wrinkles out. But typically I try to go straight for using my heat tool, because the heat tool is what I found with Mod Podge that gets most of the wrinkles out. Hello, Melissa. How are you? Thank you for joining. So we're going to apply our Mod Podge on our wood base. I try not to use a lot of Mod Podge. I don't think you need a lot. I see a lot of people that just slather Mod Podge on. It's not necessary for you to have that much, especially when you're just putting down a napkin. You don't need a lot of Mod Podge, contrary to what a lot of people, or what I see a lot of people doing. You don't need that much. So I'm just gonna just pop it onto my piece. And I also find that when you don't put a bunch of it down, it is a little bit more forgiving in terms of it. You can have a couple of extra seconds to be able to play and pick something up and move it if you need to. I'm just looking for a plastic or something that I can stick my hand in and kind of run this down, lay this down. I prefer to use a plastic bag to smooth things out, because when you use your fingers, sometimes it sticks to your fingers. You pull the napkin up, you can get tears and rips. And I just find that when I use some sort of plastic bag to do this, I don't have as many of those challenges. It still happens, but not as much as it does with your bare hand. So again, we're just gonna go across and move some of this down. Now, the other thing that you should do is put some heat on it and dry it a little bit so that your fingers don't stick. I should have done that. It would be much easier that way if you just dry it a little bit and make sure that your fingers are not going to be sticking to the napkin, because you don't want to tear a hole in the napkin and then have to piece meal that hole. So you see, that's why I'm being very careful with these edges, just in case my fingers wind up making a hole. I can take those pieces and fill in that gap. In fact, this is feeling a little too wet, so I am going to put a little bit of heat here. That's much better. I feel like I'm able to handle it a little bit more. And you can see that my napkin is blowing up a little bit there on the end. That's fine. I'll just kind of take my brush and just brush a little bit and go back and lay that down. You can always add more Mod Podge as opposed to slathering a whole bunch and then you have Mod Podge running all out of the sides and the edges. So you don't want to do that. Trust me, you don't need as much as you think you need. Hello, Miss Parina. How are you? How's it going, sis? Okay, so I think we've got a decent dry here, decent enough that I do feel confident enough that I'm going to try to go in with my little sanding block and try to define those edges. And this is coming across nicely. Okay. So that was quick and painless. I'm gonna not fuss too much with that because, again, I want to do these double-sided. This time I'm not going to punch my holes because I am using a napkin. I'm going to punch the holes all at one time. But I just want to give you a sense of how these patterns are going to look together. I'm going to have, you know, for every 2 of these, we're going to pop one of these in the middle. And I also have these little tiny wood stockings. So I might use some more of the paper and either pop in between there or over here. Yes, I'm still here, Parina's still here. So what do you guys think about that so far? Do you like what you see so far? Give me some hearts or drop a comment if you like it. I think that it's going to come out really, really cute. And like I said, I'm going to string it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to literally string it in my tree, you know, however, as a garland. But, you know, I'm not sure if I'm going to string it horizontally or vertically yet. But I think it's going to be nice. It certainly is going to be unique. I personally haven't seen anything like it in a Christmas tree yet. So I'm excited to see how it's going to come out. Hi, Nancy. How are you? And I will definitely be making sure that I share pictures of my Christmas tree this year with you all, because you all have been watching me and will be watching me make all of these ornaments for my tree. So it's only fitting that I show you the finished product so you can see all of those ornaments in my tree, because I know that, especially if you've been watching me for a while, my ornaments are not what people typically use for ornaments. I know some people are probably like, oh my gosh, what is she doing with these big things in her tree? How big is your tree? But promise me, I promise you it's going to be beautiful. Oh, thank you so much, Parina. I was going to say, did you guys see what I did with my scissors? Here they are. So this napkin, you know, I can get 2 pieces front and back out of this one napkin. This napkin is actually this, I don't know, I think this is the cocktail, no, it's not the cocktail size. I think this might be what they call a dinner napkin size. So again, I'm not even worrying about the orientation of the pattern, because my whole premise is to make them look alike, but I don't want it matchy. That's not my style. I want everything to blend. It doesn't have to look exactly alike. That's boring to me. I like to create things where you can flip things over and flip it around and they have the same color pattern, but your eye sees something entirely different. And that's one of the reasons why with this one, we use the same paper patterns, but if you look at it, when you flip them over, they are very different. Same colors, but you're looking at 2 different styles. So that's kind of the way I approach these things. Okay, so we've got this down. Let's put a little bit of heat on here. I don't want to tear my napkin. I do only have 2 of these napkins left, so, and luckily I am only doing 4 of these, but I don't want anything to kind of rip it, and then I'll be forced to think of something else to put on the back. Thank you, Miss Vanny. So again, I'm just gonna take our sander. We're gonna go across and get these pieces. And you see, these pieces I'm just putting up here in the corner. I am not getting rid of them yet because I wanna make sure that I don't need them to piece anything together that might rip or something of that nature. Because with napkins, you know, they are rather fragile. So you just want to save all those pieces to the side until you're absolutely sure that you don't need them. So again, we're just going to go in. And get those edges cleaned up in there. We do have our emery board, so let's see if it makes it a little bit easier. The emery board is two-sided, so that is great because when you go up in there, you are hitting your left and your right side of these little ridges at once. So that's the good thing about this emery board. And again, like I said, just being careful that, you know, if you have a lift on the other side while you're, you know, kind of cleaning up these edges, just go back on the other side and lay things down where you may have had that lift. Like I see a little lift here in the corner, so I'm going to just put a little bit more of that Mod Podge and just lay that edge down. And I'm going to flip over and look at my other side and make sure that I don't need any additional work there. I see here a little corner that could use a little bit more Mod Podge. And you can see I did not go back into my jar and add any more Mod Podge. I'm using what is on the brush. You don't need a lot of Mod Podge. I think a lot of people make that mistake. And that's also another reason why they have so many wrinkles. Now this, I don't know, I might seal it over again with Mod Podge just so that I don't have to worry about any of it tearing, but I typically do not seal my pieces. And I've never had a problem. So I'm just gonna go in now and define those hanging holes on top. And because it's a napkin, it's real easy to go through to both sides. I'm just gonna get a little light sand of those pieces around that hole. So now we've got our hanging holes defined, and we've got these two pieces done. This is the one side, and here is the reverse sides. So you can see how this is gonna come together. So we've got those two. So now let's work on our next ones where we have Jehovah Shalom. The Lord is peace. And then we have Jehovah Jireh. The Lord will provide. Again, please, you know, take note of the printable background, same colors, definitely giving it a very different look or different looks on both sides, even though it's from the same paper pattern pack. You really want to create things that's going to allow your eye to travel and just have, you know, room to take it all in and see something different in all areas. It's 9:40, so I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to edge these just in case we don't have time, because I'm sure we won't have time to put it all together. But I want to show you how I am thinking of edging these, because you know I don't like pieces that are just like this. You could stop right here and string your garland and be done, but that's definitely not my style. So I'm going to show you what my plan is to really kind of kick it up another level. I'm going to get one of my little small paint brushes out, and I'm going to take some gold metallic this paint is from Folk Art. It's called Pure Gold, and it's a metallic paint. And I really like this gold when I'm working with craft products. It definitely is one that I think it has a nice sheen. It's not that bright gold, but it's just a really nice gold. And of course, you know, if you feel like you want a little bit more gold, you could always go to our favorite, which is Rub and Buff, which we'll probably add a little bit of that as well. And what I'm gonna do is I am going from the top on this piece, and I am adding my paint and dragging it to the edge. I'll show you in a second why I do that, because I do want this paint to lay on top of the paper this time. Normally, I'll probably go the other route and go from the bottom this way, but I want this paint some of it to lay onto the paper, because that is going to be another element that we're mixing and adding onto the piece. So I'll show you. You can see this side has the gold paint, and you can see the other side without it. So that is the reason why I like to use and edge my pieces, because you see how that piece automatically now it's becoming defined, it's drawing your eye in, it's not looking so flat, as opposed to if you look at the back, that has nothing on it. So that's why I love, love, love to take that time and edge my pieces. And the other thing you just want to be careful of, you are working on top of a paper, so you don't want to add so much paint that your pieces begin to buckle. These are not printables that are on my page, Sandy, but if you're interested in having a set of these printables, you can message me, and I will let you know how you can go about getting them. I did not list them for sale or anything like that on my page. Just 1 second. I typically, and the reason why it's not on my page, honestly, is because I like to respect other creators' work. So I just need to go back in and just really check their licensing. I do know that I only buy pieces that allow commercial license with their use. I don't want to be, doing anything against the license. So before I say yes to that, I just want to check that out. So, but message me and I will definitely let you know. So let me show you again what we have now that we've got this whole side edged. I really, really like that. I love the way that it's popping now as opposed to when you don't edge it. Oh, thank you. This is your first time watching me. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Hello, Michelle Pranger. Hello, Christy. How are you? So that's one side. I'm going to just lay that one down here for a sec while we get some dry time onto it. And so we can be able to handle it and move forward. I love doing things like this. I love creating pieces that are unique. I mean, anytime you do anything that's handmade, it's unique, it's one of a kind, it's definitely unique to you. No two handmade pieces will ever look the same. So that's one of the reasons why I just love creating, because I like to have different things, different from what other people have. And especially at Christmas time, I just really think, it's a whole labor of love for me, to be able to decorate with my family, decorate the tree, and just using pieces that I took the time to hand make myself, just really, to me, speaks to the love of the season. So that's one of the reasons why you'll see me get really involved when it comes to Christmas decor and Christmas decorations. I just love to just go over the top. There's no such thing as too much for me when it comes to decorating for Christmas. Hello, Esther. How are you? Yeah, the gold really, really does make a big difference. So I'm going to do the back side of this one. Haven't quite figured out yet how I'm going to edge these, but I'm definitely going to edge them. I probably will be going in with just a little bit of my dark wax, simply because I don't think the gold is going to have the same pop on here as it does on the other one. I think because this napkin does have some gold in and of itself, the two golds will just lay on top of one another and not really show a defined edge. If that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So let's just see while we have this out. Yeah, it's definitely not going to give what I wanted to give. So I think I will definitely probably be going in and adding just a little hint of the dark wax, or taking my Tim Holtz ink pads and edging these, because I don't really see it. I see it because I know where I put it, but it really is not making that much of a difference. You with me, Michelle? Yeah, I just love, love, love Christmas. I definitely try, each year I literally try to decorate with a whole nother color scheme. I will not do the same color scheme 2 years in a row. That's just me. And as a result of it, I have a ton ton of Christmas ornaments. I mean, it's to a point now where I really don't have any more space to store any more ornaments, which is why a lot of the ornaments I'm making this year are ones that I can store flat and they're not going to be too cumbersome and too bulky because I just don't have a place to put them. It's your favorite holiday? What about the dark blue? Yeah, you know what? That's a good idea. I can definitely try the dark blue and see how that might work in with it. I just don't want it then to be, you know, to be too overpowering. I'm going to definitely do something, but I don't think the gold is it for sure. But this gold definitely pops with this pattern paper. This paper, this paper pack, I can definitely share with you the paper pack where I got it from, and you can be able to purchase your paper pack. But your paper pack won't have the names of Christ on it, and you might see some of the elements that are on my paper. They won't be on yours because I did add additional elements to my printable pack. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna check the creator's licensing and see if I am able to offer it to you in any capacity. But yeah, that is gorgeous. I absolutely love it. I love these names of Christ in there. I just think it's gonna really lend itself well to a lot of the other ornaments that we've made already for the season this year. If you've looked at my page, we've done a couple of oversized ornaments that are faith-based, that have scripture on them, and this is all gonna tie in really nicely together. Hello, Carol. How are you? Thank you for watching. Thank you so much, Michelle. So there we have that. Since I have this piece here already, I do want to see what it would look like if we did put a little bit of our wax on there. So let me look for, here it is. Let me look for my wax brush. I don't want too much. I just want to see if I define that edge a little more, is it going to enhance the piece? Because that's what we're going for. I don't want it to overpower it, but I do want it to bring your eye in so that you can see that awesome design here. And maybe the ticket is a combination of the gold paint and the wax. We'll see what we have when we're done. Now I did go over that paint and it may not have all been 100% dry, but I can live with that. And I'm just applying this. This is Kiehl's Dark Wax. I'll show you the cover just in case you've never seen it before. And again, I'm just going on top and dragging it back a little bit. And again, it just, when you edge things, it just makes a big difference. You can see here now, you can actually see the edges of the piece, as opposed to here where you can't really see what's going on there with the edging. So that's why I like to edge. You can, go as heavy as you want or as light as you want, all to your liking. I love to add dark wax to my pieces, so I tend to be a little heavy-handed because that's just the style that I like. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold these two up against each other again to make sure that we're not veering off and messing up our patterns. We want pieces that are going to complement each other. And I think that we're still working well together. And as you can see, this garland is going to be a really, really pretty one. I have some blue chiffon type, I don't know if it's chiffon or if it's, I know it's a sheer kind of ribbon that we're going to string these pieces together with. And I'll just let you see that. It's really pretty. So we're gonna, and this is kind of doubled, so I'll probably using a single piece, and we're gonna string these pieces together with that ribbon, and that's gonna go into my tree. Thank you for those stars. Thank you so much, whoever sent me those stars. Those stars do help out a lot because that helps me to be able to buy little things that I need to continue crafting and bringing you content that I hope you enjoy, and that I hope you will always continue to come back and watch me create. I love creating. This is my happy place. I am also a Magnolia stencil design rep, so you'll see me creating projects with using Magnolia stencils. Monday nights, we are always using a Magnolia stencil. We call Mondays here at CNC Designs Magnolia Mondays, and you get an opportunity to see me demonstrate the product and create a unique project using a stencil. In these past weeks, we've been creating ornaments using Magnolia stencils, and this Monday will be no different. So we will definitely get some of that going, and I hope you definitely come back. Monday I will be on probably at 8. Typically on Fridays I go on at 9, and sometimes I stay on longer than the 1 hour. But tonight, because we are broadcasting both here and in the Crafting Network, I will end this live at 10 to make sure we don't run over and stay within the guidelines. But there we have those two. And like I said, I'm thinking I'm definitely going to be using these. I don't know if I want to put this onto the ornament somehow with another style of maybe another piece of this printable paper. I thought about using something. I do have another type of paper, like this one, for example, that I had cut out from a Christmas tree printable, but those two to me just ran together too much. So I was thinking if I'm gonna use something like that, then maybe the stockings will be down in the middle. But I really think that that's gonna take away from the feel, because this is all about, you know, the names of God. So I think I wanna keep this in that theme and not introduce that whole, you know, childish kind of Christmas feel into this piece. You know, I really want this piece to have God as the focus. So I think that's the way that I'm gonna go with this. So I hope you get a sense of what we're doing here. I am gonna try and finish one more with you, and then by that time we probably will be at time, but I will definitely finish it up and post and let you see what the whole thing looks like when it's complete. Yeah, but I think you've definitely seen enough that if you wanted to create this, you could definitely do this on your own. I hope I've given you enough confidence that you can do it. And if you have any questions, ask away. You can ask right now. I'll try to answer while we're on. And if something comes to mind after we've gone off, just always go back to this live, put any comments in the, put any questions in the comment section, and I always read my comments, so I'll come back. Michelle, I got these wood pieces from Amazon. I've had these pieces, I think this is probably the 3rd year now that I've been using them. So they last a really long time. I think it was a pack of at least 40. It may have even been more. I got this style, and I also had the style where the banners come to a V in the middle. But I chose not to use those tonight because, like I said, that V would have cut too much into my printable because that V is deep into it. So I chose to use these. But you can find them on Amazon. What I will do is at the end of this live, I will try to go back through my purchases and see if I can find it and share a link with you all. so that you can be able to get some for yourself if you want. I'm going to try and come back on tomorrow, which I don't typically come on Saturdays, but I got to get these ornaments done because my son is determined that we should have a blue and white Christmas tree this year. So I'll probably come on tomorrow. I'm going to be making another style of ornament with the same surface, but they're going to be personalized ornaments in that it's going to have an initial for everybody in the family's first initial is going to be on it. We're going to be doing that out of clay, and they're going to be in blue and white as well. So not sure exactly what time I'm going to come on tomorrow, but probably by in the afternoon, by 12 o'clock, I'll have up on the page what time I'll be coming on live tomorrow evening. So if you're not doing anything, come back and watch that. That's going to be interesting. It's going to be another set of ideas for how you can use these particular plaques. And those will be individual ornaments. So you're going to see with this garland how you can use them collectively as a garland. And then I'm going to show you with the ornaments that I'm going to make tomorrow how you can use them to make individual ornaments. And we will be using some IOD stamps as well as some clay molds. So those I think are going to be really nice. And I think you guys will like those. So again, we're just going across the edges, and for it to save time, this time I did do both the front and the back, and I am trying to see how much I can accomplish when I have them both down. Is it easier or faster to sand it this way? This is the first time I've ever done this type of garland. So usually I've done garlands before using these planks, but I've done them and they've been one-sided and definitely not this involved in terms of using a printable that I then embellished and added on. So this is going to be interesting. And again, I don't do them both at the same time because I am being conscious of the fact that there is a hole at the top that I have to open up, as well as these ends, which now we're going to test that and see if that works when you have the printable already on both sides. One thing I can already tell is that it's difficult for me to find out where my indentations are when I do them both at once. So that's something for you to consider if you get these and you do that. It's going to be a challenge trying to figure out where that indentation is. I hope I'm getting that in the right place, because honestly, I have no idea where those openings are. Okay, I think I can see a little bit here. I'm lifting it up a little bit just to help me define where my little cuts have to be. Okay, so with these, because I've done both sides, I am going to go with this emery board first and see if that helps me, at least to determine where those breaks should be. And then I'll go back in with the actual finger sander to see if that is going to help me. I don't recommend that you do this doing both of them together at once the way I did. I don't like this. I think this for me is a little bit more of a challenge and makes it harder than when I did them one at a time. So there you have it. I've made the mistake so you don't have to. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit harder, and I'm not getting as clean of an edge because I backed them both at once. Yeah, I would not recommend you to do that. Stick to applying them one at a time. It's just easier, and I think you get a cleaner edge than when you do what we've just done with this one. It works, but it's just a little bit more challenging. we are getting there. Definitely it's working. It's 10:02, so I gotta hurry up and finish this one so at least you can see what the three of them look like together. I have, typically when I do what I call mini garlands and I hang them in wreaths, I do them in threes. They look really good across a 24-inch wreath. The three of them as a mini garland looks really good. So that's why I'm trying to get this together so you can get a sense of what that would look like if you wanted to do something like this for a wreath that you're gonna put in your home. That's another use for this particular garland, this particular idea. Let me define the holes. Here we go. That's our first one. And I am getting a little bit of lift. So we're gonna go back in with our glue stick and just lay that down. Make sure we got a really nice adherence. And then we're gonna pop over here to the other side and make sure that we punch that out. And I see that I got lift on both sides here, this one. So I'm gonna put a little bit here and then I'm gonna flip it and go back over here. I'm gonna go back in again once more and define that hole. So just so you can get a sense of, again, if I were putting this in my wreath, for example, this would be my mini garland that would go into my wreath. So you can see how that is looking. That is going to be really, really nice as we gather and finish this for our tree. I hope I have given you some inspiration. You could lay them together and trace and cut before I glue. Yeah, I could. Yeah. That's a good idea. I might try that, Miss Fanny. But I hope I've given you some good ideas again tonight. I hope I've given you another idea. I hope you've seen that it's really not a challenge. It's not hard at all. I hope you are inspired enough to be able to do something like this on your own. And I hope if you do that you share with me. I will, again, like I said, I will put the links in the description and in our comment section on this live to the actual wood pieces. I will also put the link to where I got the actual ribbon from that we're going to be using. I got it in 3 colors. I got this, I got a white one, and I think a lighter blue color came in a pack, which was pretty reasonable, also from, I believe, from Amazon. So I'll share those links with you, and I'll share the link either way for the printable pack. Again, if for some reason I cannot share the pack with you with my print on it, I will help you to figure out how it can go, how you can achieve the same look. Even if maybe I'll give you a sheet of just the names and you could print it out on tissue paper and then overlay them onto your printables. Either way, we'll make it happen. So, thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you for joining. I hope you guys come back and watch me. Like I said, I probably will be back on tomorrow when we'll be making some personalized ornaments using the same surface, and definitely I can be able to give you a up-close personal look live at the completed garland. I am going to finish it tonight. But until then, I wish you all well. Please take care of yourself. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. And have a blessed Saturday tomorrow. I will likely, if I'm coming on tomorrow, it will be in the evening. So I hope you come back and join me. And in the meantime, as always, here are some hearts from my heart here at CNC Designs to you. Hopefully, there you go. It works from my heart to yours. Have a blessed night, everybody. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.